So, ladies and gentlemen, our next session is based on Make AI Real for Business. And for that, I would like to invite Mr. Abhishek Rai, Solution Engineering Lead, Snowflake India.
Well, like the lady introduced, my name is Abhishek Rai, and I lead the solution engineering function for consumption business for Snowflake in the country. What this means is that I work very closely with some of the customers who have onboarded onto our platform, and we help them on their journey towards becoming an AI enterprise, so to say, right? We'll talk about how we are, transforming some of our customers' business, getting them onto this agentic AI era, as we call it. But before I start my presentation, and I hope this works. Sorry. This is a safe harbor statement. The reason I have to publish it here is because we are a publicly traded organization. Some of the things that I'll talk about in the presentation today could be future looking. So if any of you would want to get onboarded onto Snowflake, make sure that your decisions are based on what is currently available in the platform and not what I promise to be available in future. Like I said, my job involves talking to a lot of customers across the industries. Today I'm talking to you guys. Yesterday I was in Mumbai talking to Piramal Finance. Day before yesterday I was with Uno Minda. Before that I was Mothers and Sumi. And one of the common themes that I hear from all the customers that I talk to is that they have been approached by a lot of AI vendors. And what they present is that there is some kind of magic wand that they have. If you adopt their AI agents, it solves all the problems that you'll have, right? They will be approached by Google, they'll be approached by AWS, they'll be approached by Microsoft, they'll be approached by all the small-time vendors who will come up with their AI model. I'll tell them, look, if you implement this, all these challenges will be solved. But the reality is, all these organizations, all the names that I took, for the last 20, 25 years, they have invested into different type of technologies, right? ERP is one, CRM is one, operations is one, IT services is one, procurement is one, finance is one. And please remember that some of the prominent applications that these organizations have implemented in the last 20 years were built for a specific purpose. For example, SAP was built for a specific purpose, right? Salesforce was built for a specific purpose. Workday was built for a specific purpose, right? And similarly, multiple other bespoke applications that they have. What this means is that the structure, the architecture, the semantic layer which was built for these applications was completely different. So for somebody to come and claim, you adopt my AI platform and it will solve all the problem, is absolutely not true. Now, what we are hearing from customers is that going forward in future, what they expect is a single platform, which can not only have all their data and context, and when I say context, I'm talking about the definition of the data that you have in system. For example, in SAP, in SD module, you will have an object called order, right? A similar object in Salesforce, that will also be order. But what you understand of order in SAP versus Salesforce will be completely different. And if you ask your agent, tell me the total of all the orders. Now, should the AI tool go and look at SAP or Salesforce or any other tool for that matter and bring the total of all these things, or you were referring to something else, right? It should also have flexibility for me to choose what AI models that I want to use. For example, I ask a simple question. Tell me my bookings for today. It's a simple question, right? And for that, I don't have to use a very complex, high costing model, which can do high quantitative analysis. At the same time, if I ask a question, and this is something that we did for Larsen and Toubro, it's a POC, not a customer, when they gave us 5 years of data, and we built a POC, when we went to them and they said, all these questions that you guys are asking your agents is all, basic level question. Let me ask you a different question and see how you perform. So the question that they asked us is, tell me which non-perishable product I should place a FTL order for to which vendor who can supply it to my nearest go down for me to take at least 5% price increase in next 6 months. Now, it's a very complex question. First, non-perishable product. Second, FTL, it's an industry term. Nobody knows what does it mean. You know it, but I didn't know for that matter. Then it said, Then it has to be very close to, the vendor. So vendor rating comes into picture. Then price increase, right? So it had to go into multiple tables and look into it, right? If you're asking these type of questions, obviously the choice of model has to be different. What this means is that as a customer, you should have flexibility of choosing, do I go to a model which is costing me 1 rupee per query, or do I go to a model which is costing me 100 rupees per query, right? And then it should also be able to bring data from all the different software applications that we've got. Plus, it should also be able to give me control over how many people are using it. Basically, they are talking about a governed data cloud, right? Now, if you can imagine largely how this architecture or how the structure of this particular platform will look like, you'd perhaps see that I should have flexibility of choosing any infrastructure provider. It's very important. The reason is, today companies are operating in India. India as an organization is governed by different rules, DPDP and whatnot. Tomorrow if you go international and open an office or branch in Australia, there the rules are different. The infrastructure provider that you select in India could be compliant with Indian norms. But what you have in Australia, what you have in Africa, what you have in England, what you have somewhere else, the compliance may differ, and because of that, the choice of infrastructure provider could be also different. With Snowflake, because we are across all these platforms, if you go international or beyond, you will have the flexibility of choosing whatever infrastructure provider, but use the same capability that you use here, right? Then you have a governed data foundation. I'll talk about it a little bit more when we go ahead. But then very important is this choice of LLMs. Whether you want to use OpenAI, Gemini, Grok, Meta, whatever it is, right? And then it should also be able to allow you to do autonomous actions. For example, in our routine day-to-day activities, we do certain activities which are repetitive in nature, right? It can learn from the pattern and do those activities for you. For example, in the morning at 9 a.m., when I start my day, I look at some of the dashboards, I look at the performance, I look at how my customers are consuming my services, which are the consumptions which are going down, which is a customer which has logged a complaint, what are the public preview features that we should go and talk to our customers about. All these things are given to me in a morning brief. Then it should be able to help me converse with it. The only thing that I need to do is to thank my English teacher, because I know how to write in English. All I have to do is write a simple question in English and I'll get all the answers. And then it should be context aware. It is very important. The reason is, if I'm a solution engineer, the kind of questions that I'll ask and the kind of data set that it has to go and look after could be completely different than what my CFO will go and ask for, or my CHRO will go and ask for. So it should be aware of who is asking question. What does he mean when he says pipeline? What does he mean when he says attrition? What does he mean when he says booking, right? And then look for those data sets. I also understand that a lot of organizations are very sensitive about their data, right? They say that, Abhishek, I have a lot of data, but I'll not give it to you. It's my finance data. It's my bookings data. Because I believe that this data could be leaked. I don't trust you guys, right? There are multiple ways in which we can do, we can work with these scenarios. One is, we have zero copy data agreement with a lot of vendors, which is SAP, Workday, Salesforce, IBM, and all of that. We also have MCP connectors. In the olden days, it was used as API, Application Programming Interface. Now it is called MCP. Plus, if you have data stored in very secured place in open table formats, we can also go and work with them. So not only the data which is residing in our platform, but also the data which is residing somewhere else. We can bring intelligence from that into our agent, right? So ultimately what we are trying to do is, you have your data cloud in the center, which is getting all your context from your email, audio, video, company data, partner data, apps, and MCP, right? You have capabilities to getting your work done, right from ideation to creating dashboards, to measure your performance, to write campaigns, to share, collaborate, optimize. For example, I'll tell you a classic example. We start our financial year in February. We are February to January company, right? This consumption role came to me in February. Before that, in my 20 years of experience, I have never done this kind of work. I used our platform to help me prepare a plan for next 12 months and tell me how many use cases, how many customers we have to acquire, what has to be the average size of a ticket, what has to be their consumption pattern, and what should I be doing to make sure that the consumption happens. Trust me, I have a X number million of target. I decided that I'll follow that part, and today as we end our quarter, tomorrow as it, I am at 50% of my mark. So in H1, I am very comfortably sitting at 50% of my number. And if I follow that religiously, I'll be easily exiting at 100%. It's just a basic discipline that it tells you to follow to get to a particular number. There's a lot of variables that will play into it, but there are a lot of variables that we can control internally. As a person who was newly appointed for this role, having no background on how this consumption economy works, it gave me a lot of insights to work on, right? And then, with that, you have a choice of your model, like I talked about it earlier, and deliver outcomes. I'll talk about delivering outcomes in a minute as well. This is a very technical slide. If you don't understand it, it's all right. Basically, it has a very basic, component-driven architecture. You have your sources of data on this left side. It could be ERP, it could be your smart machines at your factory, it could be CRM, Excel, website data, whatever data that you have. We have capability to ingest that data into Snowflake. We have our own products called Snowpipe, Document AI, Kafka, which is streaming services, which can bring that data into our platform into raw format. Raw format as in CSV, any type of other file formats that you have. Then we have capability to convert this raw table by harmonizing it and making it available for anybody and everybody to consume, right? We also can enrich that data by marketplace. A fast food delivery customer of ours in India decides a location on which they have to open the new retail store basis the geographic data which is available. For example, if I'm a fast food chain and I need to open a new retail store in a particular location, I would want to understand in the vicinity of 5 kilometers, do I have any competitive retail stores? What is the average income of families residing in the 5 kilometer of vicinity? Is it connected with public transport like metro and all of that, or or will people have challenges in accessing my retail store? Based on that, they decide this is a proper location for us to go and open a retail store, right? So that data, location intelligence is driven from our marketplace. There are a lot of products which are available, which people can consume and then decide on how to take action on the marketing strategy. You have AI and data science capabilities built in, you have ecosystem, and then you have data platform for supply chain sales. These are all the use cases that you can enable. It's a technical slide. Please don't get bogged down by this. The other question that comes that, look, this whole AI and data story is pretty new, right? The chat GPT came a couple of years ago. Before that, nobody knew what it was, right? Sorry, you have a question. Yeah. Yes. So we have, yeah. So one is, we have a function called Snow Convert, which basically is aware of if the data is coming from, let's say, SAP, Snowflake, or any other data cloud applications that you already have. It can convert to, let's say, 70–80% of those data. Then we have AI functions, for example, AI Summarize, AI Convert, and all of that. So that particular function will read through the data that you are bringing in, understand the context, and then convert it into Snowflake Harmony. Exactly. So that is, without that, I don't think any of these things will work out. So this harmonizing of data is very important stuff, and we have enabled our platform to do that. Any more questions on this, or shall I move forward? All right. One of the other things I was talking about is this whole AI and data concept is pretty new. I mean, I have been working into industry for 22 years, and I've sold boxes and then, applications into CDs and then cloud and now AI all of a sudden, right? In the market, there's very limited knowledge which is available on how to best utilize these platforms or tools without experimenting too much. Because one of the concerns that I hear from CIOs a lot of time is that I spend a lot of credits into experimenting things. And at the end of the day, my management says the bill is like $100,000, we will cut it short, right? So to fill that gap of experimentation, we launched 2 products. One is called Cortex Code, which is short form for Coco. Short form is Coco. And second is Cowork. There is a basic difference between 2. This is basically for knowledge workers. your CFO, your CHRO, your CIO, your CTO. You ask business related question, it will help you get all the intelligence. And this is for builders. If the business comes to you and says, I need a new app to be built, which is having a Postgre database, it is for order taking for my field sales. It should have ultra low latency, availability on, let's say, any kind of platform and all of that. Now, typically what you'll do is you'll hire a company or you'll have a bunch of software developers who will come, code, deploy, test, and do all of that. The time that you take to deploy that, perhaps maybe a month or so, this could reduce it by 50%. This can work on Snowflake. This can also work outside of Snowflake as well, right? And this is for your business users. I use it personally. In fact, many of the presentation that we did to Piramal, we built that presentation by giving a prompt to Cowork that I am meeting CIO plus all the developers who have been working on different data platforms. We need to provide value about how Coco, the other one, which is developer, provide values to those guys. Now, how does it really help? So Coco is basically, like I said, it's for end developers, right? Now, you will say I have a lot of options available in the market. For example, Claude is one. Then I think AWS also has something called Zero or something like that. Now, one has to understand is there are a lot of options which are available in the market. You have to figure out what is the most optimized tool which is available to you to build and deploy. What we have seen in our comparison that we do with customers who have been heavy users of Claude, our consumption is at 70% of tokens that Claude consumes. So if Claude takes 100 rupees for you to build an application, we do it in 70, right? And because there is no threshold or bar set by any of these tools, we can only compare and tell you that in these POC, we consume 70% while the others consume 100%, right? Then it understands your enterprise data concept. Let's say if you are a heavy user of Claude and you say, I need to build an agent which is looking at all my sales data, which is residing in Snowflake. Now for Claude to build something like that, one, it has to build an agent. Second, it has to also understand what is there in Snowflake. For that, it has to understand your architecture, your RBAC controls, security, users, profiles, and whatnot. It'll take a lot of time. We do that much faster. And then, whatever you build, you can enable it for doing any kind of activity, right? The other thing is co-work. Now, this is very important because we have seen a great acceptance of this tool across business users, right? You may see this as a simple conversational agent. I ask a question, I get an answer, but it is much beyond that. What it does is, it basically generates a lot of document. For example, I talked about the presentation that I built for Piramal. The whole presentation was built by Coco. I gave it a simple prompt. I am meeting CIO, this is his profile, I'm meeting these developers, I'm meeting X-1, all of that. I need to provide value proposition of Cortex code. That is all. And it built me a 10 slider because I had a 10 minutes presentation slot. Very concise, very clear, very focused, no marketing jargons, just to the point, right? The second thing is, it can also connect with your personal tools. So this is a tool that I use, but if I want some intelligence to be drawn from my Gmail, from my Slack or Teams conversation, from my Google Drive, right? It can also connect through those tools via MCP. Now the reason I'm saying it's at a user level you are connecting it because I wouldn't want my tool to go and look into your email.
Are all the apps now MCP enabled?
Yes. Anybody who is MCP enabled can be connected with us. We have connectors out of the box. All you have to go and enable it. If time permits, I'll show you how I use in my personal Snowflake intelligence, right? Then you have agents. You can create sales agent, you can create service agent, you can create marketing agent, you can create HRO agent, you can create internal IT services or employee self-service agent. We have 10 agents. We also have an agent which is on product data science. So if I get into a conversation with CIO and ask me a question, all right, how do you generate semantic layer for bespoke applications? Now, semantic layer for everybody's understanding is a definition about, for example, I said order in SAP could mean something else and order in Salesforce could mean something else. So when you go and say order in SAP means order booked, that means we have got order received. Order in Salesforce could be a pipeline data as well, right? Now it is very easy for a tool to go and understand because SAP has been in existence for, I don't know, donkey's years, and so has been Salesforce, right? Everybody understands. But if you developed an internal application, and you say, you use a terminology called half order or partial order or whatever terminology that you use, right? Or you use, IT underscore order underscore Delhi plus Faridabad plus whatever it is, right? It has no understanding available in the market. What Snowflake does, we have got something called as context sense, which we have enabled recently. What it does is, it goes, looks at the data, figure out what tables have been joined, what queries have been run, and builds that semantic layer automatically. Right? These are the powerful things that we have enabled into our platform. Plus, the other thing that it can do is do your morning briefs or morning check-ins. So as a manager, I'll go and say good morning to my co-work, and it will tell me, Abhishek, here is the thing that you need to worry about today. These are 3 meetings. There are consumptions which is going down on 4 customers. 3 customers logged a ticket. 4 customers are not being able to use this feature because it is not available on India, all of that stuff. So I need to be on top of those things to make sure that my numbers are happening. The other thing it can do is allow you to collaborate. So for example, if I generate a chart which says that some of my team members are not showing good on the KPIs, I can collaborate with my team, and every time it refreshes data when they see it. So if let's say I've got 10-member team, I share it with the entire team. The moment one of my team members will look at the data, he'll only see what is applicable to him or her. It will not see the entire team, right? So that also can be driven. So it is not just a conversational engine where you ask a plain simple question in English and it will give you answer. It can generate document, it can bring you insights, it can make recommendation, it can allow you to collaborate and also connect with applications outside of Snowflake ecosystem, right? Basically, this is what it is. You have sales, finance, ops, agent, and then you can connect with all the MCP tools which are available out of the box. Yeah, so I think I have very limited time available, but I'll talk about this 2-3 times. Just one slide, about 2 minutes. One is user memory, right? If I talk to my team, right, and I talk them, and I ask them a question which has some very specific jargons that I use. For example, use case. Use case could mean different thing to different people, right? Consumption, or we use PRPR, private preview. That's a term that we use. These are very specific terms to Snowflake. People outside of Snowflake will not understand this, right? Now, if I ask a question to Coco or Cowork that what are the PRPR features which are getting available in next quarter, it understands PRPR means private preview. And it does not understand it the very first time. It will ask me, do you mean PRPR by private preview? When I say yes, every time I ask a follow-up question and I use a term PRPR, it will remember. So it does not have to go and cross-question me again. That is a very simple thing, but it saves a lot of input tokens, right? So there's an input token when you ask a question, there's an output token on the output generated. It helps a lot when you spread this across hundreds and thousands of users across the organization. The input token consumption goes down. User skills, it's a markdown file, basically set of instructions. You say, if somebody is coming to you from sales department and asking for open pipeline, do these things. That means you're giving set of instructions for agent to ensure that agent is not going across the organization searching all the data. It knows where it has to go, what it has to look for, and what it has to produce. And then pre-built bundles of skills for finance. These are the skills that we have created already. This is a quick summary. How does it look? You have an iOS application available for Cowork, not for Coco. It's Cowork for business users. You can install it today, provided your IT team enables it, and start asking questions, right? This is a quick summary of what we have talked about today. One is a platform which has full enterprise context of data, and it's a governed platform for AI. You have choice of models that you would want to use for different type of questions. You have integration with all major systems through MCP, AI, API, or whatever data that you want to bring in. And then you have a control on how your agents are behaving. All right? I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely talking to you all. Thank you.